Hello, Internet. My name is Brennanarchy. Welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. In the first episode, we dug a little hole in the ground to be our starter base, and we were able to get all of the Tinker's workstations and these new Tinker's tools. I did take the time in between sessions to get my pickaxe leveled up, so it's now at its full copper mining level. And it can, it can mine anything copper tools can, which includes some softer metal ores, and that will be important for us. Although the quest book will help us out there. Our next immediate goal is to start planting our gardens so that we have food and survivability. And then after that, we want to start going into more of Tinker's and getting our Tinker's Smeltery made. But before we start planting gardens, I want to make sure that I can light up the area around my base, and that means we need coal or charcoal, or ideally both. So I do want to make a couple of these coke ovens, and I also want to spend some time just gathering normal coal. We do have a couple of spots where there is coal on the map. There's one up here, and there's one over here that I found while doing a little bit of exploring between sessions. So we should be able to get a couple stacks of coal ore, as well as get the coke ovens set up for making charcoal. I do actually want to make 2 of these coke ovens. One of them is pretty slow, and we're going to end up with more than 2 when all is said and done. But 2 will be enough to at least get us started. So we're going to want 208 coke oven bricks, which is 208 clay balls, and 5/3 of 208, which is 347 sand. So that's going to take a little while for us to gather. We might actually have enough clay balls. Yeah, we do have enough clay balls, but we don't have enough sand. So I'm going to have to go gather a bunch of sand. I want to take the flint with me because with this tool station, I can repair my tools out in the wild. All right, and that's 128 sand. We said we needed 300 and something, which is a little under 6 stacks, I think. Well, it's getting dark, so we're going to have to head back to base. I got almost 5 stacks of the 5.5 or so that we need. So we're pretty close to caught up on the sand. And it looks like we're going to get home just in time. So that's 369. Nice. So I think that's plenty of sand. We should be able now to get those coke ovens built. Something to keep in mind is that we do have to smelt the coke oven bricks from the unfired bricks to coke oven bricks. In order to fuel that, I think I want to take a little bit of time and head up and gather some coal. We're going to have 208 of these bricks to cook. So it's going to be worth it to make a little bit of a trip up here to this coal patch and start gathering a little bit of coal. And if we're lucky, we'll find some more. Here we go. Pam's garden's on the way. Every garden we find is one that we don't have to wait for it to grow in our base. I think we have plenty of gourd gardens. But the grass gardens and the ground gardens, we definitely need more of. So finding more of those is fantastic. All right, and here we are at the little coal patch that I found. It's just poking right out of the ground, so we should be able to gather. Eventually, we're going to want to be turning all of our coal into coke and using that for steel. But in the short term, I mean, there's plenty of coal ore here. So if we turn some of it into torches, or some of it into... use some of it as fuel, that's absolutely fine. I love this just open pit mine into the side of a mountain that I'm making. Fantastic automation game energy when you can destroy the natural environment like that. Let's get some of this coal cooking. And while that's happening, we can figure out this coke oven brick setup. We need to make a forming press, which is a knife and a blank pattern. We have a couple of spare blank patterns, so we'll grab one of those. And we should have a knife in here. We have a couple of them. Use the lower durability one. There is our forming press. And with it, we can absolutely make... That's 192 of our 208, so we just want 16 more. Oh, and that was our first heart. Excellent. That is what I was looking for. That's why I was trying to make sure that we ate stuff that we hadn't eaten yet. I think if I slice this bread and put the steak in it, that's just straight up a sandwich. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Knife and bread makes sliced bread. And then sliced bread and steak makes a steak sandwich. There we go. 3 steak sandwiches, a new type of food, and slightly more nutritious. Whoa! Don't know where you came from. I thought I had this pit well enough lit up. I don't think you crawled out of here. That was not great. Alright, our coke oven bricks are all now cooking in these furnaces. I have a little bit of spare coal and a little bit of spare wood on me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn some of that into extra torches. And we can start lighting up our areas upstairs where we're going to set up farms and where we're going to organize some things like coke ovens. Well, we could put coke ovens inside, but get our outside areas at least partially lit up. If I turn on chunks, which I think are F9, yes. So we're working within a 16 by 16 chunk, and the way I think of that is a 15 by 15 area with a 1 square wide border around it. That 15 by 15 area can be split into 4 7 by 7 areas with a 1 square wide border between them, and then a 7 by 7 area can be split into a 3 by 3 area with 1 by 1 sections between them. So what that lets us do is kind of break everything up here down into these various smaller like tiles, right? You can do a 7 by 7 farm, you know, water in the middle, out 3 instead of 4. So it's a little bit smaller, but that's fine. Or you can put, you know, 4 coke ovens together in a 7 by 7 area with walking paths in between them. Hopefully now that the gardens and some other things are in place, you have a better idea of how this sort of subdivided chunk system works. You can see we have a chunk here that's entirely gardens, a chunk here that's got a couple gardens and some other stuff in it. These cobblestone spots are where our coke ovens are going to go. And then we have a third chunk here that is going to have, well, for now it just has an animal pen, but we will have some other stuff will get built back here eventually. I had meant to show more of the process of going through the Pam's gardens and getting all this farming set up on camera, but unfortunately, I made a mistake configuring my recording software, and that footage was lost. What we can show on screen, though, is getting all of these coke oven bricks and turning them all into the coke oven multi-blocks that we're going to need. These go down in a 3x3 with a hollow middle, so it's 26 of these brick blocks per coke oven. And when you place the last one, you'll see the multi-block forms. These multi-blocks don't have a controller, so you can access them from any side. Wow, I put down 2 of them without a misclick. I'm impressed. I'm proud of me. In order for these to be useful, I'm going to have to take some time and gather a bunch of wood so we can get a stack of wood going in each of those. Do we have some flint left? We have a little bit of flint left, yeah. My inventory is kind of a mess. These are all of the things that I haven't eaten yet that I want to eat at least one of. But let's get ourselves organized here. Let's grab a couple stacks of dirt just to use as scaffolding, and let's take down a couple of the big trees that we have. After taking down a couple of these big spruce trees, we've got like 3 and change stacks of wood, but that is more than enough to get these guys started. We're going to have a bunch of charcoal available and a bunch of creosote available soon. With the charcoal, with the coke oven going, the next thing on the way to getting a working smeltery is we need to be able to make these barbecue gloves. I swear to God, these used to say pizza glove or cake glove. Does it change? Is it randomized? Oh no, cake glove. That says barbecue glove. This says cake glove. Okay. Regardless, we need these gloves in order to be able to carry lava to get our Tinker Smeltery going. So we need to be able to make these. That means we're going to need some leather. That means we're going to need string. We can make string from cotton. That's why we planted a bunch of cotton. And this woven cloth is even more cotton. We will go through a lot of cotton early on. And then we also need a bunch of leather. We'll also want leather. If we go back to the beginning chapter, we really should make like a hide shield. That would be a good defensive item to have. So for both of those reasons, I want to get some cows into this pasture here. So let's just grab some wheat, and I have lots of wheat, which is great. And I think there's a couple of cows over this way, so let's see if we can lure some animals into our pasture. If we get some sheep too, all the better. I'd be happy to have a couple of sheep. Here we go, 2 cows. Perfect. That's all we need to start. And then there's actually a bunch more on the map, so I might acquire some leather from some of those. I'm just kind of steering myself with the mini-map here. Perfect. There we go. Are you gonna make it in, buddy? Come on. You are not a smart animal, are you? All right, well, they're in. Ooh, there was a quest. I didn't even realize that. We didn't quite get enough leather for both the gloves and the shield. That's okay. We'll get a little more later. We have some cows. We can breed them now, so that's fine. And there we go. Couple of sheep. Ready to go. This is part of why we wanted to grow so much wheat. We're going to need it, obviously, to breed all of our animals. But we will also want it for breads and things like that. So we will go through wheat really, really fast. It's good to have a bunch of it. We could push forward and get the pizza glove quest done. And I probably should. We're going to need a little more cotton to actually get to that. So we're kind of just grabbing cotton as I go in and out. Actually, if I say I want, let's favorite that recipe, and favorite this recipe. And then if I do, is it Shift A? All right, well, one of these uses 54 cotton. There we go. No, plus 12. It uses 66 cotton. Wow, okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep letting our cotton accumulate. But while we're waiting to do that, we actually can, I think, move on to this quest and get the clay dust we need to make all of this grout. We're going to need a couple of stacks of sand, probably a little more gravel, and also a bunch of clay. So we can go ahead and gather that stuff. If we look at our map, we have a little bit of this Badland. I think it's Badlands. I'm not sure. It has terracotta. Those, when mortared, break down into a full pile of clay dust, as opposed to the fractional pile that clay balls break down into. So they are a better source of clay and are, I think, more durability efficient for your mortars. Shoot, 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 shoot. I was not paying attention, and it is very much nighttime. Let's see how this goes. This could be bad. This could be really bad. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. All right, I think we're going to be okay. I think we made it. Just barely. Don't know what that was. Ooh, all right. I'm only a little bit panicked, but I think we got everything we need. We're going to need to make more mortars. All right, let's get those cooking. I think I can actually grab... we have a bucket of creosote. Oh no, I used it for torches. Let's just grab a bucket of creosote, because that'll cook a lot of stuff. Is it you? Are you the one zapping me with lightning? Storm. Yes, it is you. And I'm gonna burn to death here. Oh. Cool. And the death loop begins. There we go. Ooh. We managed not to death loop. I'm pretty happy with that. I consider that a success. All right, so what I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted was that a bucket of creosote lasts quite a while. We're going to need a couple more mortars, but we can start to gather the clay dust we need here. We also are going to need a couple stacks of gravel and a couple stacks of sand, which we do have. Just waiting on furnace to be able to do. A couple more mortars. All right, that should be enough of everything. Now we need to make grout. This is going to be a lot of crafts. I'm not sure exactly how many, But we're going to just grab a crafting table and a bucket, and we're going to go over to where there's water, and we are going to make a lot of grout. Something you could do with NEI here, and if I could remember how to... There we go. Increase the number of crafts. How much do we need to make in total? 162, and we've made 8. Although it knows how much we've made, right? So if I just say I want 162... Control scroll wheel, by the way. It's how you choose how much you want. And we can't make 162, we need to make 164. And then we hit craft. It knows, or it should know, how much it's made so far. And you can just keep hitting Shift-C over the recipe. That's 128 plus 24 is 152. Okay. We're almost there. I believe that is 164, because it won't let me craft any more. That is all of the grout we need. The next step is with our wooden form to turn that grout into unfired seared bricks. That's an easy one. Ooh, I think we need to make 4 more grout so that we actually have enough. There we go. We're gonna need a couple of buckets of creosote, or we can just do it with stacks of charcoal. But creosote is free, and we're gonna have a lot of it when all is said and done, so we may as well use up our creosote. Everything else that is in this quest we really can't do until we get our bricks back. But what we can do is we can go tear down the smeltery in the village, because we want all of those bricks and materials as extras. And the other thing that we need to figure out is lava, because that's going to be our fuel. I was hoping I could find an above-ground lava pool, but if we need to go caving to find lava, then we're going to definitely need some improvements to our equipment. It's really important when you're going through these quests to not necessarily get too far ahead of yourself, and to double check things that are optional or required. These seared bricks are marked as an optional task, so we're okay to not gather all 162 of them all at once. But if we were to only do some of our seared bricks and then go on to make other components, we would be in bad shape, because we do have to craft 28 of these. All right, there we go. That should be our 162 bricks now. Let's go. Do I have my crafting table? I don't. Let's grab our crafting table. This one. And back to the grind of bulk crafting. This is, I think, our last bulk crafting grind. We do have to craft a casting basin, and we do have to craft a casting table to make the quest happy. We can't use the ones that we retrieved from the village. But other than that... All right, there we go. That is 28. More bricks. We have heaps of them now, of course, because we also got the ones from the village. So our next things are going to be the smeltery controller and the seared tank, which actually we can do right here. We don't have to go downstairs for those. I'm actually going to make... I think we'll start with 2 tanks. Well, 3 tanks. All right. And the Smeltery controller. It's fine. We have plenty of space for extra tanks. I'm not too worried about it. We have plenty of spare materials. The other things we're going to need are seared faucets and casting channels. All right. I need to stop picking up my... Two of those. Two of those. And then a smeltery drain and a casting basin. All right. Casting basin. The smeltery drain uses one of our channels. Oh, 2 smeltery drains. All right, let's see if we got enough spare bricks. 8. We have just enough spare. If we have to make a little more grout, we can. It's not the end of the world. But... And we actually will need to, because we're going to want more drains to use the casting basins and the casting tables that we got from the village. Like, we're going to need a couple more drains. This is just, like, the bare minimum. So to make seared stone, we need molten seared stone, which I think is just made from melting cobblestone. I see regular stone. There it is, cobblestone. Yeah. So it's made from melting cobblestone down and then casting that in a casting basin. 360 millibuckets is 20 cobble, I think, to get the 1 piece of seared stone we need. And then we can make a casting table, and then we are done with this quest. So to actually make this, I'm going to need to move these gardens. And move this torch. Okay. I want to make this whole thing 5 by 5 centered here, which is here. Or it's going to be 3 by 3, growing out to 5 by 5 on the walls. So the base is 3 by 3, the walls will be 5 by 5. That's what I'm trying to say. Right here. And then we will have a controller here. We will have tanks here and here, and this one will be a spare. We will want more walls, but we need our casting channels there and there. One of those goes to a basin, and one of them goes to a table. And those each get their own faucets on them. And then I think the rest of this is just more. We're lucky this is formed. This is formed. Excellent. So in order to finish this quest, we're going to need to power this thing and get some... That is definitely a rendering glitch. Interesting. We're going to need some cobble in this, and that means we're going to need to fuel it with lava. I finally have enough cotton here, I believe, to get the lava gloves done. So let's go ahead and make those. I think if I hit... Oh, I gotta be careful. There's one for each hand. We don't want to make them... We don't want to make 2 of the same one, do we? $36 string. And then we're gonna need 6 woven cotton. There we go. Now we should be able to make each of the right hand Clear and left hand. All right, we got our cake gloves, which means we can safely touch lava. Now we need to find lava. Since I don't think we got lucky and I don't see anything that I think is lava on the surface, any lava pools, that means we're going to have to go caving for lava. And caving means we're going to want to improve our... It doesn't look like we got lucky enough to find a surface lava pit, at least nowhere that I can see on the map so far. That means we're going to have to go caving, and caving means I'm really going to want to improve my equipment. What we have is not great, and obviously a stone sword is really bad. So I think next episode will be improving our equipment, going caving, hopefully getting some lava, and also, since we're going to be going mining, we will try to make some progress towards our various mining goals, and maybe even the Gregtech tools. I think that is going to be a reasonable target for the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next episode.